Revealed. My heartwarming journey after 10 life-changing words from my mom. A hidden home awaits. Emma stared at the dusty attic filled with faded memories. It was a sweltering summer afternoon, and the air felt thick, almost suffocating. All around her, the town hummed with a nervous energy. Neighbors whispered about the factory closure, fear evident in their voices. Yet today she needed to tidy up. She needed to find something, anything, to bring some semblance of order to her chaotic life. She climbed the rickety ladder, her heart pounding, and opened the creaky wooden trunk. What she found inside turned her world upside down. A yellowed letter, its edges frayed with age. Taking a deep breath, she unfolded the paper. Words scrawled in her late mother's handwriting leapt off the page. You must believe in yourself, even if no one else does. A wave of emotion washed over her, rolling like thunder as tears stung her eyes. In that moment, beneath layers of dust and despair, she felt a spark ignite, a flicker of hope she feared had long since extinguished. Emma squeezed the letter tightly, feeling her mother's spirit envelop her. That one sentence echoed in her mind, awakening a resilience she'd buried deep beneath the weight of bills, loneliness, and the fear of failing her spirited daughter, Lily. She thought about the laughter that would fill their home, the shared dinners that stitched her family together, and the friendships that were a lifeline in this small Midwestern town. But certainly, she feared the growing sense of uncertainty that shadowed her every move. As her gaze shifted out the attic window, she gazed at the familiar streets once bustling with laughter, now tinged with dread as families worried about the looming factory closure. Emma gripped the letter tighter, sensing a pivotal moment tugging at her heart. An opportunity had knocked recently, a job in a city where her potential could flourish. It promised a brighter future for Lily, one that glimmered like a distant star, tantalizing in its allure. But with that dream came the bitter taste of leaving behind the only home she had ever known. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her face twisted in conflict. Torn between the allure of what could be and the comfort of what is, Emma heard a familiar voice from the past, a voice she hadn't spoken to in years. Her father. He had stumbled back into her life like a sudden storm, stirring unresolved wounds and fresh resentment. How could he return now after all this time? The weight of it felt heavy on her chest as she recalled their tangled history, every misunderstanding wrapped tightly around her heart like barbed wire. As the town faced the crisis, Emma saw neighbors rallying in an unexpected display of courage and strength. Huddled together, they supported each other, igniting the embers of community that flickered in her own heart. As tension simmered, she felt drawn back to her father, confronting her past in search of answers, forgiveness, and ultimately, herself. Would she dare to grasp that hope? Standing at a precipice, Emma knew the choices she made now would define not just her future, but Lily's as well. Would she take the leap into the unknown, or cling to the familiar, despite its drawbacks? Emma took a deep breath and set the letter down carefully on the old trunk. Her mind raced like a storm, thoughts and memories swelling and crashing into each other. She needed clarity. Maybe confronting her father could shed light on her tangled emotions. But was she ready for that? Would facing him unlock feelings she had buried long ago, or just dig them deeper? With shaky hands, she tucked the letter into her pocket, feeling that connection to her mother grounding her. Gathering the remnants of her courage, she decided to leave the attic behind. As she descended the ladder, her heart drummed in rhythm with her footsteps. Each creak of the wood beneath her feet felt like an echo of her uncertainty. The moment Emma stepped outside, she was greeted by a burst of summer heat. The sun hung high, casting long shadows over the cracked asphalt of her street. She spotted a group of neighbors huddled together on the sidewalk, their hushed tones mingling with the scent of barbecues wafting through the air. The town's uncertainty loomed over them, heavy, Those sparks of camaraderie flickered within their tight-knit community. "Hey, Emma," a voice called. It was Judy, a friend she had shared countless cups of coffee with over the years. Emma forced a smile, feeling warmth spread through her. She walked over, drawn in by the familiar faces, sensing a thread of stability in the chaos surrounding them. "Did you hear about the community meeting tonight?" Judy asked, her tone mixing excitement and concern. "We're discussing ways to support each other through all this. You should come." Emma hesitated, thinking about the weight of her own worries. Yet, as she glanced around at her neighbors, she felt an undeniable pull, a call to be part of something larger than herself. "Yeah, I'll be there," she replied, the words coming out stronger than she had anticipated. Returning home, she remembered her father again, a shadow flickering at the edges of her thoughts. What if she invited him to the meeting? They could take a step together toward healing, or at least understanding. The idea felt both daunting and liberating as evening descended. She found herself in front of the mirror, her reflection showing a woman who had been through storms but still stood tall. She had survived loss, disappointment, and abandonment. The thought of confronting her father made her stomach churn. But maybe it was a necessary step. A knock on the door jolted her out of her thoughts. It was him, her father, looking as uncertain as she felt. Their eyes locked, and before she could process her feelings, she spoke. "You're just in time. We're having a community meeting. Would you like to join?" The sheer surprise in his gaze almost broke her heart. She watched as emotions washed over his face. Relief, guilt, and hope collided, creating a haunting tension. Would this meeting serve as a way to mend the past? As they walked side by side toward the gathering, the air buzzed with anticipation and possibility. Emma felt her pulse quicken at the thought of everything they would face together. Would this night bring them closer or unravel the threads of their family even more? The meeting buzzed with energy, filled with a sense of unity and shared purpose. Emma's heart beat in rhythm with the collective hope of her neighbors. Here, among those who understood her struggles, she felt the possibility of change stir within her. But as she glanced at her father, minutes from confronting the past, she couldn't help but wonder. Was she truly ready for the revelations that awaited her? The night was just beginning, and so was the unfolding of their story. The room was alive with chatter, voices weaving together in a comforting hum. Emma's heart raced as she and her father entered the community center. It was large and filled with familiar faces, friends, neighbors, and those she hadn't spoken to in ages. She could feel the energy shifting, anticipation building as she led her father to a table near the front. "Why are we here, Emma?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Concern flickered in his eyes. "To talk," she said, surprised by her own steadiness. "About everything." As she scanned the room, Emma sensed the weight of her father's anxiety mingling with her own. The lights above buzzed softly as people settled in, their warm chatter gradually fading into a gentle murmur. She took a seat, uninvited memories swirling, especially the times when laughter filled the room instead of silence. The meeting began, led by Judy, who spoke about the power of community during hard times. "We are stronger together," she declared, her enthusiasm infectious. Emma felt her neighbors' eyes on her, their support woven through their smiles. But Emma's gaze drifted back to her father. He sat stiffly, his hands wrapped tightly around the edge of the table. The recollection of their last family dinner flickered through her mind, those tense moments spent in silence, a space filled only by unspoken words and unanswered questions. Judy continued, inviting people to share their concerns, stories of loss, and hopes for the future. As voices rose and fell, Emma felt an inner echo calling her. She stood, feeling the eyes of the room shift toward her. Was this what she wanted? To lay herself bare in front of others? She stumbled, the words catching in her throat. "Take your time," someone said gently. Emma nodded, fingers brushing against the letter in her pocket. "I want to talk about family." The room quieted, curiosity urging everyone to listen. "I've grown up with my father, but I feel like there are so many things left unsaid between us." She glanced at him, heart racing. I want to change that. Her father's expression tightened but didn't turn away. Maybe this community can help us learn how to reach each other again. She continued, her voice strengthening with each word. I know I've kept you at an arm's length. But tonight here I want to be honest. There was a collective hush, a moment where everyone held their breath alongside her. History isn't easy, Judy added softly. But taking a step to share can bring healing. Emma's chest tightened as she felt the truth of that statement resonate deep within her. Her father's face shifted, shadows of resentment mixed with hints of longing. For the first time in years, she saw a flicker of hope there as well. Dad, she said softly, I need to know why you left. I need you to say it. Can we just be open tonight? Silence wrapped around the room, thick with tension. Yet she could feel the community rallying behind her. This was more than just her story, it was theirs too. Her father seemed to wrestle with his thoughts, the weight of unspoken truths hanging heavy in the air. Emma could see the battle within him, and her heart brimmed with both fear and courage. Would he choose to be vulnerable? Would he finally share the things they both desperately needed to hear? As he opened his mouth, ready to speak, she held her breath. This could either fracture everything or rebuild what they once had. Would he meet her halfway? The answer was just on the tip of his tongue, waiting to unravel. The moment hung in the air, and as her gaze drilled into his, Emma's heart thumped louder than ever. The night was far from over, and so was their journey. Her father's lips parted, but the words didn't come. Instead, he glanced away, swallowing hard as if the weight of his thoughts collided with the truths he had buried for too long. Emma's heart sank. It felt like they were on the brink of something monumental, yet here they were, stuck in silence. Judy stepped in, sensing the tension. It's okay to take a moment. Remember that we're all here for support, she said softly, her voice like a warm blanket wrapping around the room. Emma felt the urgency to keep the moment alive. Dad, please, she urged gently. I'm ready to listen. Her father looked up, eyes filled with a mixture of fear and something deeper. Was it regret? Hope? Emma's breath caught. The vulnerability in that glance struck her like a lightning bolt. This was not just about her anymore. It was about the years of missed opportunities, the questions that hung in the air like unturned stones between them. He began, his voice barely too low for her to hear. I left because I thought it was best for you. Startled gasps echoed from the audience, the collective energy shifting as they felt the raw honesty spilling out. Emma's pulse quickened. Best for me? How could leaving me ever be the answer? He flinched, as if her words were daggers. I didn't know how to be the father you needed. I thought staying away would spare you from my failures, from the mess I had made of my life. Her heart shattered a little more with every confession, each one echoing the misunderstandings that had clouded their relationship for years. Emma leaned in, desperate to seal the gaps. Dad, I wanted you there. I wanted to understand, even if it was hard. He buried his face in his hands, grief spilling out of the cracks in his stoic exterior. The room held its breath again, the only sound the soft rustle of fabric as neighbors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Emma could see in their eyes that they were all rooting for her and her father. I was selfish, he said finally, a tremor in his voice. I shut myself off because I didn't want to face things. I thought you'd be better without the weight of me. A maddening mix of anger and empathy swirled within her. But we both needed each other, she exclaimed, the heat rising in her chest. You created this distance, and I didn't know how to bridge it. His gaze met hers, and for the first time, guilt and sorrow were laid bare like raw wounds. I know, Emma. I'm so sorry. The shifting emotions in the room was electric, binding everyone together, as if they were witnessing an unraveling connection that had been so long in the making. The soft murmurs around them reminded Emma that she was not alone in this fight for understanding. What can we do now? She asked, an edge of hope creeping into her voice. How do we build from here? I want to find a way to make it right, he replied, voice cracking. He searched her eyes, a plea for forgiveness mixed with a desire for redemption. Tears pricked at the corners of Emma's eyes, but she resisted. Maybe we start by being honest with each other, every day. No more running. Her father nodded, a visible burden lifting as he clung to her words like a lifeline. I'll try. I promise I will. Suddenly, a child's laughter pierced the air. The mood changed, lightening a little as everyone momentarily shifted their focus. But Emma felt the shift within her as well. They had opened the door to something powerful. She reached for her father's hand, squeezing it tightly. And it's okay if it's messy, she said, a small smile breaking through. We'll figure it out together. And just like that, the first step had been taken. She could feel the flicker of hope igniting, the journey ahead still vast with uncertainty. But maybe, just maybe, they would not have to navigate it alone. As the applause from the community filled the room, Emma squeezed her father's hand tighter, realizing that this was just the beginning. Yet in all that excitement, one question lingered in her mind: was this newfound path truly enough to heal the scars that had run so deep? A sense of anticipation hung in the air, as Emma and her father locked eyes once more. What fragile truths still lay beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? As the applause quieted, Emma's heart raced. The weight of everybody's gaze felt like a gentle push, urging her and her father to keep going. They were on the edge of something new, yet the shadows of their past lingered in the corners, whispering doubts. Let us take this outside, she suggested suddenly, needing space to breathe. The room felt too constricting now. Her father nodded, and they slipped away from the chatter, stepping into the cool evening air. The outside world was a mix of dusky colors, lavender skies fading into deep blues. The first stars began to twinkle above them, timid and far away. Emma released her father's hand reluctantly and leaned against the wooden railing of the community center's porch, feeling the rough texture against her skin. Do you remember the stories you used to tell? She asked without turning to look at him. The ones about adventure, about being brave? A chuckle bubbled up from her father that was tinged with sadness. I remember trying to make your world colorful. But it was my stories that faded out, he admitted. Why did you stop? Emma turned to face him, her curiosity mingled with frustration. I thought I'd become less of a hero and more of a monster. I worried my stories were lies. I didn't want to drag you into my darkness. I thought silence was protection. His words came slowly, like heavy stones being laid down. And I thought you didn't want me, she replied, an edge of hurt slipping into her voice. But it turns out we were both just so afraid. Afraid of being hurt, of not being enough. He stepped closer, his eyes softening. If I could take back the years, if I could change things, I would. But I'm here now, Emma. I want to show you the real me, flaws and all. Time seemed to stretch between them as Emma searched her father's face, looking for the man she had longed for. Then let us start with something simple, she said, a spark igniting in her heart. Tell me one truth right now, something you haven't shared. Her father hesitated, tears welling again, but this time glistening with a different weight, one of release. I didn't just leave because I thought it was best for you. I left because I was lost. Lost in my own failures, in my own fears. I didn't have the tools to find my way back. But I want to learn how to find them now. That's a start, Emma replied, feeling the air shift around them like a new dawn breaking. I can help you if you let me. Just then, the laughter of children echoed again from inside, reminding her of simple joys that still existed amidst their tangled past. It washed over her, mingling with the bittersweet connection she was beginning to forge with her father. I want to do this together, he said, voice softer now. I'm willing to be vulnerable. I want to learn what being a father means, what it means to truly be there for you. Emma felt a stirring in her chest, a mixture of hope and the challenge of what lay ahead. Then let us promise to meet each other halfway, she suggested, reaching for his hand once more. Step by step. As they squeezed their hands together, a commitment formed not just between them but woven into the fabric of their community. A promise that their journey could impact others just as much. But amidst the warmth of that moment, Emma felt something within her flicker. A deeper question loomed just out of reach. If they could confront their pasts, how would they handle the burdens they had allowed to linger? With her heart racing, she peered into her father's eyes, feeling the resilience growing, but unsure about what unspoken truths still waited between them. Was this new path truly destined to lead them back to each other or deeper into the shadows they were trying to escape? The silence between them felt electric, charged with unresolved feelings. Emma's heart drummed in her chest, and for a moment, the only sound was the rustle of leaves in the light breeze. It was as though the night held its breath, waiting for them to move. Finally, her father broke the spell. "Emma, I want to tell you about the time I went camping after I left," he said, his voice a shaky whisper. It was supposed to be an escape, but it turned into a wake-up call. She nodded, inviting him to continue. "I was sitting by the campfire, staring into the flames, and I kept thinking about how I'd abandoned everything that mattered. All the stories we would never make." He glanced upward, as if seeking solace from the stars. "I spent so many nights talking to the smoke, wondering why I let fear drown out hope. That night, I could hear the crickets and the wind, but I couldn't hear your laughter. I didn't know how to find my way back to you." Emma bit her lip, a knot forming in her throat. "Didn't you want to come back?" "I wanted to more than anything," he confessed. "But I was too ashamed. I thought I'd ruined too much. I told myself it was easier to disappear. But every day without you felt like a punishment." His words hung heavy in the air. Emma felt her resolve tense, recognizing how deeply his absence had cut her. But Dad disappearing was not a solution. It only made things worse. He lowered his gaze, the guilt evident in his eyes. "You're right. I've been running from the very responsibility I needed to embrace. I should have faced my fears head-on, for you." The truth hung between them, raw and unfiltered. Emma took a deep breath, drawing strength from the night sky that felt limitless. "It hurts to hear you say that, but it also gives me hope. If you acknowledge all of this, maybe we can finally move forward." Her father stepped closer, the distance between them shrinking. "I want that too," he said earnestly. "Together, I know we can build the bridges I once burned." The laughter from the community center fluttered around them again, reminding Emma of the vibrant connections waiting just inside. "What about our stories?" she asked, a smile teasing at her lips despite the gravity of their conversation. "Can we start telling them again? Even just the little ones?" A smile broke through the tension on her father's face, lighting up his features. "Absolutely. I want to share everything. The tales, the lessons, the adventures that are waiting for us." As they stood there, hand in hand, Emma felt the warmth between them grow brighter. For the first time in years, it felt like they were writing a new story, one filled with hope, courage, and the chance to heal the wounds of their past. But just as excitement began to bubble within her, a realization struck Emma. What about the people who suffered because of us? The ones still waiting for their stories to be told? Her father's expression turned serious. "I can't change the past, but I can start by acknowledging it. Maybe it's time I reach out not just for us, but for them too." The promise of forging connections beyond their relationship felt daunting yet exhilarating. And as they made their way back inside, Emma's heart whispered a question that would linger long after they left the porch. Could they really dive deeply and mend the fabric not just of their lives, but of the community that had also felt the ripples of their journey? As they stepped inside the community center, the vibrant sounds of laughter and music enveloped them. People mingled, sharing stories and creating memories. Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Here, surrounded by warmth and connection, was the perfect backdrop for their new beginning. "Let us find a place to sit," Emma suggested, scanning the room filled with smiling faces. She needed a moment to gather her thoughts and envision how they could begin mending their fractured lives. They settled at a small table near the edge, where the warm glow of fairy lights hung overhead like stars come down to earth. Her father looked around, his expression a mix of nostalgia and uncertainty. "I once sat here with your mother. Can you believe that?" His voice was soft, a hint of sadness creeping in. Emma studied him, realizing how much planning it had taken for him to step back into this world. "You're brave for being here, Dad," she said gently. "Takes courage to face your past." He sighed, his eyes reflecting a myriad of emotions. "I didn't know what I was missing until I sat alone in the dark." He paused, glancing at her. But I need to learn to let go of the pain. I need to be here for you and, eventually, everyone else. Sudden laughter caught Emma's attention. A group of children ran by, their glee infectious. She thought of how their stories mattered too. How every giggle echoed the laughter they once shared. Look at those kids, Emma said, her eyes softening. They don't understand the weight of the past. They just live in the moment. Her father nodded, a small smile breaking through his concern. We could use that perspective, couldn't we? What if we tell stories together? Maybe we can host a night where everyone shares their journeys. Emma suggested, her heart racing with the possibilities. Could be a way to bring everyone together, to heal as a community. He considered her words, the spark of an idea lighting his features. You mean like a storytelling circle? That would give us a chance to connect, to bring light to the murky places we've hidden. Yes, Emma said, feeling energized. We could talk about laughter, struggles, dreams. It's all part of our shared experience. We can't change the past, but we can rewrite the narrative going forward. Just then, a friendly voice interrupted. Hey, Emma, Mr. Thompson. It was Mia, a young woman from their neighborhood, her smile wide and inviting. We were just discussing how nice it would be to have a community event. Something fun that gets everyone involved again. Emma glanced at her father, whose expression brightened. We were just thinking the same thing, he replied. A genuine enthusiasm filled the air. Really? That's awesome, Mia exclaimed. What do you think about a storytelling night? People could share stories about their pasts, and we could celebrate where we are now. Excitement bubbled in Emma's chest. They were forging a path, one that could help not only them but also the entire community. We've got to get people talking, connect the dots from past to present, she said, her words gaining momentum. As ideas flew around the table, Emma felt lighter. Maybe, just maybe, healing didn't solely come from directly confronting your past but also in sharing it in a way that brought others into the fold. The trio spent the night brainstorming details and laughed about past tales that could be shared. But as they filled the air with hope, Emma still couldn't shake the thought of those left unnoticed, the ones who suffered quietly. Would they have the strength, the courage to face the ones they hurt? And what if the stories they buried were the key to unlocking healing for everyone involved? The question hung in the air like the lingering notes of a song, a promise of what was to come. Emma suddenly felt a sense of urgency. They needed to act fast. Could the storytelling night be the beginning of a new chapter not just for them, but for everyone yearning to be heard? The next day, Emma awoke with a sense of purpose. The community center buzzed in her mind, and the idea of a storytelling night felt like a living thing waiting to be nurtured. She quickly slipped out of bed and made her way to the kitchen, where the smell of coffee filled the air, wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. Her father sat at the table, sipping slowly, the weight of yesterday's conversation still lingering between them. Emma approached, unsure of how to break the ice. Dad, can we talk about the plans today? He nodded, his eyes lighting up a little at the enthusiasm in her voice. Of course. What's on your mind? I think we should start by reaching out to people in our neighborhood, your friends from the past, too, Emma said, grabbing a notebook. We need to create a buzz, get them excited about joining in. That makes sense, he replied, looking thoughtful. Sharing stories can build bridges, can mend what's broken. Together, they made a list of people to invite, ranging from old neighbors to newer faces they had seen at the center. Emma had a vision of a diverse gathering, where every voice would resonate and each story shared would act like a thread, weaving their community tighter together. Let us make flyers, Emma suggested enthusiastically. Bright colors, bold letters, it needs to catch people's attention. Her father smiled. You've always been good at this sort of thing. I can handle the printing and maybe you could handle spreading them around? As the day unfolded, they designed the flyer with Emma's ideas flowing freely. Words filled with hope and the potential for connection danced across the page. Join us for a night of stories. Let us celebrate our lives together, it proclaimed, echoing their shared sentiment. After a couple of hours, they finished and stepped outside to deliver their creations. They walked across the neighborhood, hanging flyers on doors and bulletin boards. Each time they met the eyes of a curious passerby, Emma felt a small thrill of anticipation. "Look at that," her father said, pointing at a family outside. "They could really use this. Sharing stories might help them, too." Emma opened her mouth to respond, but suddenly, a memory washed over her, her mother's laughter at past community gatherings. The way they would come together, sharing every little joy and sorrow. I hope everyone comes," she finally said, her voice steadier than her heart felt. Her father nodded solemnly. "They will. People crave connection, especially after what we've been through." The sun sank lower on the horizon as they continued their walk, the evening hues casting a soft glow across the neighborhood. Yet, something nagged at Emma, a quiet fear bubbling beneath her excitement. The night of the storytelling event was growing near, but what if people didn't want to share? What if some were too afraid to confront their past? She cast a sideways glance at her father, who seemed lost in his thoughts. "Dad, do you really think everyone will want to participate?" she asked hesitantly. Her father paused, looking into the distance, as if searching for answers in the swaying branches. "Sometimes the hardest part is just showing up, Emma. We'll just have to be patient with them." As they turned to head home, Emma's heart ached with mixed feelings. There were so many stories out there, but how many would shine through the fear and pain? She let out a long breath, needing to cast away doubt. That night, she lay in bed, her mind spinning with thoughts and emotions. Who would share at the event? What would they be willing to reveal? With a sudden resolve, she got up, grabbing her cell phone. She had to reach out to Mia. They needed to bolster support, rallying everyone for the big night. But what she didn't expect was the confrontation waiting for her, an unexpected message from someone she thought she'd never hear from again. Would this be the catalyst needed for healing, or an unwelcome reminder of their bruised past? Emma stared at her phone, her heart racing as she read the message. It was from Mia's older brother, Jake, someone she had known in passing but had not seen since everything fell apart. The words on the screen felt heavy, like a stone sinking in her stomach. "Hey, Emma. I heard about the storytelling night. I might swing by. Would be nice to see everyone again, including you." Her fingers hovered over the screen. Should she respond? Felt complicated. Part of her wanted to confront the past, the laughter, the memories, and the grief all tangled up together. Another part of her trembled at the thought of facing him after all this time. Finally, she typed a quick reply. "Would be great to see you, too." The message was sent, and the weight in her heart lingered even heavier. The next morning, her resolve was shaken. The living room felt a bit more suffocating. "Dad, I got a message from Jake," she said, trying to sound casual, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her nerves. Oh, her father looked up from his coffee, surprise flashing in his eyes. "How did he find out?" "I'm not sure. I think he saw one of the flyers," she replied. She sat across from him, overwhelmed by a torrent of emotions. "Are you okay with this? I mean, what if things get awkward?" He took a moment, his gaze softening. "It's been a while. Maybe it's time for some healing, for both of you. Just remember, you're not alone in this." His comforting words wrapped around her, but she could feel a twinge of unease. As she got up to prepare for the day, she thought about what Jake's presence might mean for the storytelling night. Would he share? Would he shy away like so many others? And what about the things left unsaid between them? Later that afternoon, she found herself sitting with Mia at their favorite cafe, a steaming cup of cocoa in her hands. The chatter around them faded into a hum as they dove into their plans. Mia's excitement was infectious, and Emma thought about how sharing their stories might help catapult them into a new reality. "Did you talk to Jake?" Mia asked, her brow furrowed. "Yeah, he might come." Emma felt a knot tighten in her chest. What if no one wants to open up? What if it ends up being awkward? "I want the night to be special." Mia reached out, her hand on Emma's. "It will be special. Just remember, each story matters. Even the awkward moments can lead to real connections." Emma smiled weakly, nodding, but she could feel the doubt squirming beneath her confidence. They talked for a while longer, mapping out who else to invite and how to make the evening memorable. Eventually, Mia leaned back and said, With everything going on, I think I'm going to invite my parents. They never shared their story about moving here. Maybe it's the right time for them. The idea sparked something in Emma, a glimmer of hope that spread through her. She could picture the night, a blend of laughter, tears, and revelations glimmering in the candlelight. The image was intoxicating. As they left the cafe, Emma noticed the golden light of the setting sun dipping beneath the horizon. With each step, that familiar tightness in her chest pulsed, mixing with a hint of anticipation. Would the storytelling night be everything she hoped for, or would the scars of the past make it impossible? That evening, while putting her things away, Emma caught a glimpse of her phone. A new message. A knot formed in her stomach again as she read it. "Can you meet me? I have something important to tell you," it read. Anxiety washed over her, fingers shaking as she responded, "Sure. When and where?" Something told her this conversation would change everything. Would Jake's words reveal the healing she sought, or would they open a wound she wasn't ready to face? Emma took a deep breath, heart pounding, as she prepared to confront the tide of emotions that awaited her. Emma twisted the knot of her anxieties until her fingers hurt. The day here in their small town was coming to a close, but she felt the sun beginning to rise within her spirit. The stories she had been so eager to share were now becoming mere specters, threatening to haunt her instead. She had made the request to meet Jake, and now anticipation buzzed in her veins like fireflies in summer. Emma arrived at the park, the fading light casting a warm glow on everything around her. The cool breeze flicked across her face, and she took a moment to breathe deeply, feeling more stable with each inhalation. This was a small step, but significant one that could lead to discovery much larger than herself. And then she saw him. Jake sat on a bench, his shoulders slightly slumped beneath the weight of unspoken words. The years seemed to hang between them as she approached, the laughter of children playing nearby starkly contrasting the tension swirling in their shared silence. "Hey," she said softly, her voice steady. "Hey," he replied, looking up, an awkward smile forming as their eyes met. Emma felt the knot in her stomach shift just a little, but it wasn't fully unraveled yet. She took a seat, crossing her legs. "I got your message. What's up?" He sighed, wrestling with his thoughts. "I wanted to talk about everything, the past, our friends. He paused, searching for the right words. "There's a lot I need to say." "Okay," she murmured, her heart pounding. She listened closely, knowing that this conversation could either set them on the path to healing or send them spiraling further apart. After everything, he began, focusing on a lone raindrop that fit so well on the edge of his jeans. "I thought I could just disappear. I thought maybe that would be easier for everyone. But it wasn't." His voice cracked slightly, guilt glistening in his eyes. Emma couldn't help but feel the pull of recognition. She had experienced that same sensation. "I got your flyer about the storytelling night," Jake continued. "I want to come. I think sharing is the only way to open up the wounds that have scarred my heart. And I want you to know I'm sorry for leaving, for not being there." His words hung in the air like a dotted line, connecting their past with their present. Emma felt the floodgates of her emotions opening, spilling out relief and sorrow. "I'm sorry too," she replied quietly. "I didn't know how much I needed you until you were gone." Those memories of laughter turned hollow. "I felt like I lost a brother." There was a long pause, thick with both pain and potential healing. It was in this space that Emma realized that it wasn't just her story that needed to be told. It was also Jake's, woven tightly with the fabric of their shared past. Tears shimmered in his eyes. "Do you think we can tell our story together?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly, brimming with silent hope. "At the storytelling night?" Emma's heart quickened. "Yes, this is what we need. I want to hear your truth, and I want you to hear mine." A small smile broke across his face, and the tension between them began to dissipate. "We can finally face our past and how we fell apart," he said, nearly breathless with relief. "Together," Emma affirmed, a spark lighting her spirit. "Together," he echoed. As they rose from the bench, the evening sun dipped below the horizon, as if bowing to their newfound resolution. They stepped forward, moving toward a future not shadowed by guilt, but brightened by understanding and growth. Hand in hand, they walked toward the promise of storytelling night, ready to share not just laughter, but the lessons learned through grief. That night, when the stars lit up the sky, Emma would take a step not only toward healing with Jake, but also toward revitalizing her connection with her father and community. They would share their narratives intertwined with hope and courage, students of the grace that comes with transformation. The door that opened for Jake had also swung wide for Emma, for her father and many others, and in their hearts, they carried the weight of anticipation. A new chapter unfolding, one where stories stitched tears a little closer together, molding lives anew. This was more than just a night of stories. This was the moment for reconnections, healing, and a testament to the strength of community woven through shared struggles and laughter that thundered in the night air. And now, as they stepped into the community center, their hearts thumped in rhythm, ready for the stories that would break the silence of the past and build the future. Before the night ended, Emma felt a jolt of urgency bubbling inside her to share the excitement with others who had followed their journey. You need to subscribe now to our channel for stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your love. Every click counts. Comment below and share your feelings about Emma's journey and those powerful moments of connection. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Show your support. With this, Emma felt the radiant smile of relief that one could truly heal when they chose to face their truths together with an open heart. The journey wasn't done, but it was now filled with color and light, painted with every story shared.